Hi guys, Anne here to do some chair yoga with you today. So chair yoga is great for beginners, people with injuries, maybe someone with limited flexibility, those who have difficulty getting up and off the floor easily, the floor of the yoga mat, or maybe someone who just wants a gentle yoga practice today. This can be beneficial for anyone, even if you are a practitioner with a pretty intense practice. Sometimes chair yoga can be a nice alternative to that practice. Before we get started, just to remind you that you're responsible for your own yoga practice. You honor your body today, because just because you can do something today doesn't mean that you could do it yesterday, you'll do it tomorrow, vice versa. So keep that in mind. Our bodies are transitioning all the time. We're getting over injuries, illnesses, we wake up tight, we don't sleep well. There's a variety of reasons why your yoga pose today may be very different from what happened yesterday. So please keep that in mind. You modify any poses. I give modifications. Every pose we're doing today is a modification, but if you need to adjust it for yourself, please do. Someone recently connected with me letting me know about the chair yoga practice, that they really enjoyed it, but they still found that there were some things that they needed to modify. So feel free to share that information with me. The more information I have, the more I know about my students, the better I can be as a teacher and to give more options for you when you come into a pose. But you know your body better than I do, so please pay attention to it, please honor it, and please adjust accordingly. You can also come out of a pose anytime you feel is necessary, even if you think it's a simple, easy pose. If your body is telling you to come out, pay attention to that. Pain is always an indication that it is not okay. No pain. I never want anyone to be in pain. Intense sensation is different than pain, and you need to decide and know for yourself what that difference is and when it's okay to stay in something and when it's time to come out. Don't force your body into any yoga pose, even if you think it's easy and you should be able to do it. Don't force. We never want to do that. That's where we can hurt ourselves. We can pull muscles, we can hurt joints, we can do other things to the body. So please keep that in mind as well. And the best thing is, if it doesn't feel okay, don't do it. So pay attention to your body. So I'm going to back up. We're going to get started. Really no props needed today, whether home props or regular yoga props. If once you get in your seat you feel like you need a little more height under your sit bones, you can grab a beach towel, or if you have a nice firm blanket like a Mexican blanket, which is what I use for my yoga practice. So let me show you. So either a big bath towel, a beach towel can work. You can sit on this, or what I use for my yoga practice at home are Mexican blankets. So if you have that, that can be nice and firm. We don't want any lumpy blankets that we're not going to be even and maybe we feel too high on. So you decide if you need a blanket. I'm not going to use a blanket today. I'm going to back up into my chair. Oh, one other thing that I got some feedback on. I mentioned to make sure that your chair is sturdy. It's got a sturdy back, that there's not going to be any issues with it. It's not on wheels. So someone told me that they did use a swivel chair because that was easier for them to move, to rotate their torso. If that's appropriate for you, you use that. If you do have a chair with wheels, make sure the locks are on it. We want to be safe here. So I'm going to come back into my chair. We're going to come and have a seat. We want to make sure that we're sitting nice and tall here. That may mean that you need to add that blanket or that towel under your sit bones. Our legs are at a 90-degree angle, so the heels are right under our knees. Our thighs are parallel to the floor, and we're sitting tall in our torso. We'll take a moment to come into a seated meditation, connecting with our breath, checking in with our body. We'll close our eyes or have a soft gaze. As you take in that next deep inhale, the lungs fill with air, noticing that the chest rises, the belly rises. And as we exhale, we release that air, maybe letting out a sigh as the chest and the belly fall. Do one more big deep inhale and release that exhale, allowing the breath to come more naturally. Slowly start to open our eyes, bringing our presence back to the room. Arms down by your sides. On your inhale, bring those arms up. On the exhale, come down. Inhale. inhaling up. Exhale down. This third one, we're going to inhale up. On the exhale, we're going to come into a twist, bringing your right hand down. Left hand comes to the outside of that right knee, opening your chest up. So we're still sitting tall, our chest is open as we come into our twist. Maybe your back hand either grabs onto the chair or maybe that hand stays at your hip. Whatever's comfortable for you here. You decide how far you go in this twist. Inhale tall. Exhale out. Inhale at center. Exhale. We'll inhale those arms up. Exhale down. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale. Left hand down to the chair or to the hip. Right hand to the outside of the knee. Opening that chest up. Torso stays tall and upright, so don't lean into that backhand, arm or shoulder. So that's where you decide that this backhand should be. Maybe grasping onto that chair. Maybe the hand stays at the hip. Taking a deep inhale. Exhale, come out. We'll inhale up. Exhale the right hand down, either on the chair at your hip, and then we're going to tilt over to the side, coming into a side stretch. So stretching this side body here, compressing a little bit here, but not crunching over. So make sure you're still sitting tall. You're stretching, opening, lengthening that left side body. Bring that arm down. We'll inhale up again. Exhale, left hand down, either to the chair at the hip, and we'll tilt on over, coming into our side stretch on this side. So if you have any shoulder issues or arms or anything like that, like here, this side bothers me a little bit. I have a little bit of a shoulder issue. So sometimes for me, it's better to have my hand here, what I call baby broken wing, or at your hip. You can still have that lengthening, that opening, even if the arm isn't up here. Let's come back up, sitting tall again. We'll do some curious dog tip. You're gonna bring your right ear toward your right shoulder, so maybe your hands come back on to your thighs. Let's tip our head and neck over to one side, not leaning over, just the head, just the neck, so that you can get a stretch in the side of your neck. Come back to center, over to the other side. Center again, one more time each side. Back up, last time, over to the left. Coming back up. We're gonna do some seated cat-cow. On your next exhale, you're gonna start to round your low back, scooping out the belly. Head and neck come slightly forward. And on the inhale, let's reverse it, arching the back slightly, opening that chest, head and neck come up a little bit into a baby back bend, the cow. Coming back into the cat on your exhale, tucking your pelvis. On the inhale, reversing it, tilting the pelvis. Coming back to the exhale, coming into flexion, think of a forward fold. And inhale into extension, a baby back bend. One more time, coming into the seated cat and the seated cow. Coming back to neutral. We're going to bring our hands either to our hips or grabbing onto the back of your chair. So we still want to sit tall here. We're going to focus on this area that I call heart center. So maybe you don't go very big. We're going to lift from our sternum, from our heart center. So make sure the low back feels okay, not compressing. The head and neck are going to follow the spine. So we don't want to just drop it back. This is a baby back bend here. So the neck is a continuation of the spine. So if you are opening up bigger, your neck goes farther back. If you're not opening up very much, your neck stays in alignment with your spine. Slowly come back to sitting up tall. And we're gonna come into our downward facing dog. So I'm gonna move my chair so you can see me from the side. If the chair is too far away, you have the option to use the wall. You would have your wrists the same height as your shoulders and the same distance. And then your heels are right under your hips, so you're at a 90-degree angle here. So you can still push the butt back slightly. You can still press those hands firmly into the wall. If you want to come a little lower, you have the ability. We're going to bring our hands to the edge of the chair, and you'll start to walk your feet back. I know you can't see my feet here, but they're hip distance apart. I'm pressing my butt, hip, and thighs away. I'm firmly pressing my hands into the chair. I'm relaxing my head and neck. There's length and space in my spine. I'm going to bend one knee while I keep the other leg straight. Feel that stretch in that leg, and then reverse it. Bend the other knee, straighten the other leg, pedaling the feet. Let's try that a couple more times. Switching. One more time each side with the pedaling. Coming back into that still dog. We're going to keep our hands firmly planted on that chair. We're going to start to walk our feet forward. Coming into a forward fold, those heels come under the hips. You could keep your hands here and stay in your forward fold like this. If you want to come a little farther down, you bring your forearms onto the onto the chair. My back is still really nice and long. I'm hinging at my hip creases. My torso is long, my chest is open. I can relax my head and neck. I'm just not dropping it here, but it can relax a little. You'll either use the chair or you'll bring your hands to your hips, and you'll slowly come up to standing, slightly bending those knees as you come up. If it's okay, you'll come into your Tadasana. If you need your chair or you want to use a wall, you're welcome to come here. Tadasana, mountain pose. Our feet are about hip distance apart. How we figure that out is we feel around for the bony points in our hips. And if we could draw a line down our legs, the line would go right through the middle of our ankles, and that's hip distance apart. Then our hips are right over our heels. Our shoulders are above our hips. Our head and neck flow evenly over the shoulders, and our arms come down by our sides. Our chest is open, our torso is long, our bones are stacked to give us a natural posture. From here, we're going to come into our tree pose. You will decide if you stay by a wall, if you want to come back to your chair. So our tree pose, our feet start in Tadasana on our mountain pose. We're going to pick our left heel up, and you're going to turn those toes out. Then you're going to bring your heel to press up against your shin, and your toes will stay on the mat or the floor. If you want to stay holding onto the wall or your chair, you do. If you want to bring your hands to your hips, you can, or even to heart center. Our hips are square forward. You're locking your gaze with something on the floor. You're lifting from your low belly, and you're breathing. You're making sure that this right hip is not popping out to the side. So we're bringing everything to center. Activating that core, the roots of our feet are working, especially our standing leg as it wiggles and wobbles around. Release that foot, give it a good shake. We'll come to the second side. Feet are even in the mat, the feet are parallel, spreading those toes. Leaning over to the left foot, pick the right heel up, turn those toes out, and you'll bring your heel onto your shin, getting those hips square. That means that your knee likely will not be off to the side. Hips are square, that helps with your balance. Lock your gaze, lift from the low belly. Pressing that heel into your leg as much as you press your leg into your heel. That brings everything to center, helps us grow through our trunk, keep the torso long, the chest open. When you decide where your hands go for your tree pose, Vrikshasana on this side. Flowing breath here, we're not holding it as we balance. hips if they're not already. Release and give it a shake. We're going to come back down to sit in our chair. I'm going to move my chair again. Coming back into a seated position here. So make sure, again, that 90-degree angle, that we're sitting tall, we're not slouching back, that our pelvis isn't tucking under, which is why you might want to sit on something that'll help that. We're going to come into a figure 4 twist. So figure 4 is crossing an ankle over a knee. If this is not possible for you, you'll cross ankle over ankle. So I'm going to lift my feet up just so you can see what that looks like, but I don't want you to actually hold your feet up. So you could come here, that's totally fine. And you may find that one side is easier than the other. So maybe one side you do the full figure 4 and the other side you do ankle to ankle. So crossing your left knee on top of your right. So they're all going to the same side so that when I give directions it makes sense. Couple rounds of breath here just in our figure 4, feeling that hip, maybe any other sensations, the hips, the glutes, the thighs. This foot is active, so we're not just letting it hang out, it's flexed. And we'll come into a twist, so we're going to get tall on our inhale. On the exhale, let's twist toward the knee, bringing your right hand on the outside of the knee. The left hand will either come to your hip again, or you can grab somewhere onto your chair, turning your chest toward the same side where the bent knee is looking. On your next exhale, let's come out. Inhale tall here. Exhale, we're going to twist the other way. So you bring your left hand on the outside of that right leg. Other hand either comes to your hip or grabs onto your chair, opening that chest up. We're tall in our torso, so again, make sure you're not leaning back. You're sitting tall. Your spine is long. Next exhale, we'll come out. We'll uncross, give it a little shake. We'll go to the second side. Maybe you cross the ankles. Maybe you pick that leg up, ankle over knee. You may have noticed one side is much tighter than the other. I am mirroring you, so I'm telling you that this is the right, but for me it's actually the left. So my left hip is quite tight, and so I notice a difference just coming into my figure 4. So you decide where that ankle goes, if it's over knee or over other ankle. Flexing this foot, sitting tall here in a figure 4, just for a couple rounds of breath here before we go into our twist. We'll take in a nice deep inhale. On the exhale, we're going to bring the left hand on the outside of that right knee. Back hand either comes into the chair to the hip, turning that torso, starting with the low belly, turning our way into our twist. So the twist comes from the body, not from our arms yanking us into this twist. Next exhale, come out. Inhale tall. Exhale, twisting to the left. Right hand on the outside of that thigh. Left hand comes to the chair or the hip. Turning the low belly, upper belly, chest, shoulders. Torso is tall, upright, spine is long, chest is open, shoulders are wide. Next exhale will come out, uncross the foot, give it a little shake. Coming back into our tall seat. Before we come into our seated meditation, we have one more thing to do. I'm not sure if I talked about this in my last video, but I recently taught 4- and 5-year-olds yoga, which was crazy, fun, and exhausting. And before I did that, I did a little online yoga training with Imagination Yoga, and they are awesome. I'm so looking forward to doing more trainings with Jamie and Jessica. They're great. And something that I learned in their class that I'm bringing to my adults that I think is simple and beautiful, and I love it. So you can say it out loud with me, or you can just say it in your head. It's up to you. We're going to bring our hands together at heart center, and we say kind hearts. We bring our hands to our mouths, and we say kind words. Then we'll bring those hands to our forehead, and we say kind thoughts. Then we're going to inhale those arms straight up. On the exhale, the arms will come down. 2 more times, heart center, kind hearts, kind words, kind thoughts. Inhale up, exhale down. 1 more time at heart center, kind hearts, kind words, kind thoughts. Inhale up, exhale down. We'll bring our hands onto our thighs. We'll have a slight gaze. We'll close the eyes, settling in to our seat. Still sitting tall. Torso is long. Spine is tall. Chest is open. Let's do 2 rounds of full deep inhales and exhales. So on your next inhale, full deep to your capacity. And on your exhale, letting it out. 1 more, full and deep. Release. Coming to a natural breath. With the eyes closed or still soft gaze, we'll bring our hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra, pressing your right hand into your left as much as you press your left into your right. Lightly but firmly pressing those thumbs into the sternum, into heart center. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Keep peace in the mind, strength in the body, and love in the heart. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing chair yoga with me today. I hope you have a lovely day. Let me know if you have any comments, feedbacks, questions. You can find me all over social media. My email is ann@gofitgirl.com. My Facebook is GoFitGirl. My Twitter is GoFitGirl. And my Instagram is TheRealGoFitGirl, because I am the only GoFitGirl. That's my alter ego. You can also find my website, GoFitGirl.com. It lists classes. I link up to all of my online classes. There's other information there, especially if you're in the Portland area, you're going to be visiting. Feel free to let me know how you're doing or how your yoga is going. I'm happy to chat with you and give you any tips that you may need, and I love suggestions, so would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day, and I will see you soon. Bye.